What's going on, YouTube? This is Jim Afanis, aka vypermajik, and today I want to talk with you about the Bungie Weekly Update for April 2nd, 2015. In the background, I'll be throwing down on some Crucible with my bro Sydney. So this week, Destiny's news is going to focus on some raid fixes, some strike fixes, and some new reporting system processes for player policing, and I'll talk about all those now. If you don't want to take my word for it, I encourage you to check the description box below. I'll be putting a link to the actual Bungie.net site in there in case you don't want to take my word for it. So this week, let's focus first on raid fixes and strikes. Bungie released some very interesting news. Metric here I want to read to you. So the Cerberus Vey 3 strike, that's the one where you do it on Meridian Bay, Mars. They're saying that that is the longest strike in the game, the hardest strike in the game, and it has the lowest completion rate of any strike. They say that it takes players 27 minutes on average on normal difficulty to complete. They say when it's on Nightfall, it's the lowest completion rate of any strike activity in the game. They say the Dust Palace strike still takes, is a little easier to beat, and it takes 23 minutes. So, yeah, you're talking 4 minutes here or there. Now, compare that to some of the other strikes you do and how long those are compared to this. And what they're getting at is they're going to start normalizing things. According to the production engineer, Brenton Woodrow, our goal was to ease the difficulty for the least completed strikes. In order to do this, we focused on the final boss encounters, which were fairly lengthy on higher tiers. We addressed this by reducing the strength for several of the major combatants. We also felt that the bosses themselves could use some tweaking. We reduced Valus Tuarach's health by 1/3 and reduced the Scion Flayer shields by about 15%. We locked these changes after several playtests with designers and feel that these bring the strikes in line with the rest of the other encounters. These changes will be arriving in a few weeks, by the way, so this isn't going to go live or anything tomorrow. I think this is a great idea. I think this is a great idea because some of these strikes are a little insane. Now, if Destiny would rather keep strikes that were inherently more difficult than other ones, I would not have an issue with that. However, as a player, I want to be rewarded for the time I put into a game. And since we all complain, myself included, that the loot system is very broken in this game, why should I have to struggle going through a longer strike when I can do a shorter strike if I'm trying to grind Vanguard marks? I shouldn't be penalized for the random number generator making me go off and fight some guy for a very long time if I'm not going to get anything better than by doing it in almost half the time on some of these other strikes and get the same reward. So if Bungie is going to say, hey, we're not touching the loot system, we're going to instead reduce this, I think this is a great idea. You have to lower it to normalize it if I'm not going to be rewarded as a player. And I don't expect handouts, but I do expect fairness. And I think we can all agree that not so much the Scion Flayers, but Valus Tuarach takes way too long to kill. He's got so much health. So they're just going to go ahead and flat out nerf the dude. And okay, if that's the solution you guys have, I'll buy in off it. I would rather them put a better loot drop in place, but that's not my call. The second thing that they talk about is they call it quitters never win. And they're starting to find a lot of players who they say are being jerks. And I couldn't agree more. Now, I'm not talking about harassment in terms of going on team chat and saying, hey, you stink or whatever. That's going to fall out of this. But they're really mostly right now focusing on players who are idle. So guys who queue up for strikes or queue up for Crucible and do nothing and just stand there. And it is frustrating. Now, I can't compare this to a game like World of Warcraft, for example, where Warcraft has a 35 to 40 minute timer on peak nights to get in a group. If you get in a group and you have a loser, it is going to ruin your night. Luckily on Destiny, the turnaround time is significantly faster. So it's okay if you have a member too that stinks. You may have to leave and re-queue, but they're trying to fix that. So they're going to implement this new system. They're going to try it out and they're going to see how it works. This week, they're going to take toxic players from matchmaking and they're going to temporarily restrict their accounts. So if you're one of these guys who comes in and leaves a lot, you're not going to be able to play for a while. I love this idea. People are going to say it's very ham-fisted, very aggressive, but you know what? I like it, and I'll tell you why. Because it's going to force players to think about their actions. Now, they're also going to be implementing a new reporting system that's going to affect your experience both positively and negatively. So you're going to be able to look up, just like right now I have as a guardian, you could stand there and hit the options button and inspect his gear. There'll be a new drop down for reporting, and it's going to allow you to say as a player, helpful, friendly, highly skilled, unhelpful, unfriendly, cheating, inactivity, quitting, or bad connection. This is going to allow players to begin to quote-unquote build a case against other players who are consistently unhelpful or unfriendly or quitting or just not, being active. And over time, you're going to be able to build up a case against players who are toxic to the community and remove them. Now, self-policing systems like this internal to games are very commonplace. You have games on the extreme like World of Warcraft where you actually type in, you could take screenshots and upload screenshots if you want, of players or videos even of players doing things that are inappropriate, and the Battle.net crew will act accordingly. You have games like League of Legends where it actually goes to a council of other players who make a determination, and then you could appeal that decision and it would go to an actual official. I don't really care what system is in place, but I think it's important on any MMO game where a character is playing a significant amount of time and investing time into the world. Not a quick pickup match like a Call of Duty game where you play and if you get a bad game, so what, you're jumping in another one. But you really do grow a sense of ownership and connection to your character. And when you have other people that are coming in that are being like this, it does ruin your experience. So I think this is a positive for everyone. And I'm happy that they're actually going to be implementing this. And I'm curious to see how it rolls out, and I'm even more curious to see what happens in time. Now, we're all thinking of it in terms of the negative. Let's also think of it in terms of the positive. When I played Crota for the first time a week or two ago, there was a guy on the forum. There was a guy who played with us, and he was really nice. We clearly didn't know what we were doing, but he helped us out, and he walked us through everything. He explained all the boss mechanics to us, and we took probably about 3 hours, which probably a lot of you groaned when you heard how long that took. We're all level 31, 32, so it took us 3 hours. But he's a really nice guy, and I think that he should be commended for that. Now, does that mean he gets like a free exotic? Oh, I'm not saying that. I don't know what the answer is, but it's nice that there are shining stars in this game, and I think they should be rewarded or at least recognized for their goodness, because this is a community. This is something that we all are putting together. We're all being a part of, and I like that. So another thing to consider is Heroes of the Storm. How Heroes of the Storm handles players who are inactive or quit is if you're playing in the hero mode, which is like the arena mode, if you quit, you're flagged. And you cannot play in another hero mode game until you go play a quick match. It's kind of a purgatory almost. So the guys that are really in the upper tiers now, like me, like me, of course, who are playing the ranked mode only, if there's a disconnect, you have to go back and work your way up. And I like that. It's not a huge penalty. It's not a huge punishment, but it forces you into that. And you actually have a little icon on your screen, and if you party with anybody else, they're automatically demoted with you. So I'm not saying I've lost friends over it or anything, and disconnects do happen, and unfortunately disconnects are punished in this game, or in Heroes of the Storm rather. But I like that they're taking that thought process and they're beginning to implement it. And I think that is going to make this game better. It's going to weed out the people who don't want to play. And let's face it, there are trolls on the internet everywhere. There are obviously trolls on the forum. There are obviously trolls in the game. So let's take an active step to start weeding that out. In addition, I've recommended numerous times, and I'm still an advocate of this, that the forums actually are assigned community moderators who can kind of keep an eye on things. Because let's face it, the actual crew that is making Destiny does not have time to read through every forum post. And not that a community moderator was, but obviously if you have people who have shown that they have some semblance of responsibility, let them go out there and begin to monitor the forums. Now, does that mean you get banned from the game? No. Maybe you just get banned from the forums. I don't know. But it's all about the self-policing. And, you know, when you really start thinking about this game as an extension of a community, I mean, we have police in society today for this very reason. So I say let's clean up the game a little more. I don't think it's as toxic yet as I've seen other games like League of Legends. I think that one's getting bad, really, really bad. But let's prevent that from happening. Let's be proactive, Bungie. Let's start putting more checks into this place, and let's let the players be the ones who regulate their own experiences. As always, I want to thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you guys think about all this news, and comment, rate, subscribe, because I really do appreciate it. Until then, I will see you guys on the other side.